All right. Well, welcome everyone to the Next Level Entrepreneur Show. Every week I bring on a proven entrepreneur, and we talk about this every week. But I just got to mention it every time. There's so many people out there teaching theory, teaching things that they don't know if it'll ever work or not. But they've kind of read a couple of books and gone to a couple of seminars, and all of a sudden now they are the experts on entrepreneurship. And so one of the cool things that we have today is we have a friend of mine that, several years now, we were introduced by a mutual friend. And the cool thing about this guy is a workhorse. He's developed his own business. He's created multiple businesses. He's consulted businesses. He's gone back to school, gotten more education. This guy is just a machine when it comes to business and entrepreneurship. So, he's done so many different things. I'm just going to let him talk about some of the stuff because his experience is vast, and the things that he's going to bring today, you're going to want to take note of. So make sure that you have a pen and paper. Make sure that you can stay present, turn off all the distractions, and develop some questions. At any point you have a question, go ahead and type it in. We'll answer it at the end, but at least we'll have the questions ahead of time. That being said, guys, help me welcome Scott DeLong.
Thank you.
Hey, brother, it's good to see you. We haven't seen each other for a little while.
We have not. A little Facebook here and there, and that's about it.
Scott, I've always had so much respect for the things you've done and for your pursuit of constantly being better. And you and I both agree that true entrepreneurs, are constantly striving to be better. But I mean, you're at what age now? And now you're finishing up one of your later degrees, right?
Yeah, I'm 59. I am finishing up my doctorate. So I'll have a PhD the end of the year, somewhere around then. I'm in the middle of my study right now, then I just have to write it up and that'll be done.
Man, that is awesome. Well, congratulations. Because I remember when you started, you were, you were excited about it, but I mean, you got all that time to think about it, and it's coming to fruition. That's cool.
Yeah, with plenty of people telling me don't do it. And there's actually some validity behind don't do it. Concept about that. I actually, there was a young gal. So when I was working on my master's degree in leadership training, finished that up, and a young gal came to me, 29 years old, something like that. She said, "You think I should go get my doctorate?" And my response to her was, "Well, it depends on what you want to do. You want to teach? Yes. If you want to make money, no, because you're going to make money in the private sector, and a lot of folks in the private sector will not hire somebody with a doctorate. There's a lot of bosses out there that don't want somebody perceived to be smarter than they are. So a little insecurity in some of in management in the business world. So you want to make money, stay at a master's."
Wow. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
You think that these business owners, they're leaders, they've got the ability to, to think enough to build a business, but then they get intimidated by having somebody have a higher education.
It certainly can happen, right? And that's one of the things that I work on as I'm coaching CEOs now, is this concept of being the smartest person in the room, and you don't want that. Right. Yet our egos want it, right? But for the development of our business and the people around us, you don't want that.
Right. So, Scott, you started, when was it? How old were you when you first started your very first company?
16. Yeah, I was 16. I was in high school. I was actually a pool cleaner, was my friend that did that, and it was a great job. 16 through 18. As soon as I could get a vehicle, a truck, I would be a pool cleaner. And it was pretty cool being in the backyards of all these people all day long while the husbands are at work. I don't know. It was just fun.
Yeah.
These kids, the women introduced me to their daughters. It was like a cool deal.
So how long did you do that?
Just a couple of years. Before I started college. I went to college on an athletic scholarship, so I didn't really need to work during that period of my life.
Hmm.
Um, so it was fun. It was my first entrance into a business, and figured I'd make the money instead of the other guy, and it worked out okay.
What was the greatest learning that you had from that first entrepreneurial experience?
Well, it's the concept of customer service. I think is the thing. Right? Anybody can do the thing, right? Somebody can clean a pool, or somebody can build a website, or fix a fan. Or there's lots of people that can do the thing. And the thing that I learned the most was to make this customer. There's a book out there called Raving Fans, to make your customers raving fans, right? And that's what the stickiness is that if I can do things that they need, they're going to call me next time, as opposed to the other guy that can do it cheaper or whatever their thing is. Right. But I think the customer service portion, even at 16, I learned that.
Wow. Wow. So from there, what do you end up doing?
Well, after college, I ended up going to work for a family friend. My best friend died while he was in college, and I became the surrogate son. Wow. And so I got into the sales world right after college, and did that for a few years, and quickly moved into sales management because I got a manager's thought process, not necessarily the sales guy. I'm not really a sales guy. And I had some struggles with that as well, because I was 25 years old and managing other folks that had been with the company for 25 years. That was weird.
Yeah.
At least for them. I just thought it was normal, but it was different. It was a difficult thing. So learning how to manage the egos and the generational gaps and all those was a key learning in that spot.
How did you do that? I mean, I've been in that position before, but I mean, how did you do it when you've got people that are older, been longer, more experience, all that stuff, and you're now managing them, and you've got, like you say, everything from egos to anything in between. How did you handle that with them?
Not well.
Thank you, because I didn't do very well my first time.
Yeah. I mean, the work got done, but I didn't make many friends, right? So I did it through sheer determination and will, and showing people here's how to get it done and all that kind of stuff. And if I look back and if I would do things differently today, if I had the wisdom at 25 that I do at 59, there's a key piece that I would have done, or that I would have liked to be able to do, and that is with humility. I didn't possess it. Growing up an athlete, being an All-American, and everything I touched worked, I didn't have any humility at all. And that was the work got done, the business grew, right? I didn't do the relationship piece nearly as well as I'd like to. And that was based on lack of humility on my part.
Wow. Well, thanks for your vulnerability on that, because I think we all go through that at some point or another, and we don't reflect on it and know what it was that really was our biggest stumbling at that point. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, well, it actually became a big humility. It's still something I struggle with, right? There's three pieces. You mentioned one of them, vulnerability. That's something I learned maybe 10 years ago, not until 10 years ago, right? Empathy was another thing that I think I lacked in my youth that I'm getting better at these days. And empathy as opposed to sympathy, right? Making sure you understand another instead of feel sorry for another.
Yes.
And then vulnerability, empathy, and humility are kind of the keystones now to what I preach, what I teach, and in order to build trust within people. Those are concepts that are necessary.
Huge. Those would be huge. So you work with that. How long did you work with that family?
From, I think, 22 to 27.
Okay.
So about 5 years, yeah.
So you got some good time in there.
Yeah. And I got a pretty good job right after that. And ended up being a vice president of sales and marketing of a nationwide company that,
wow.
And again, that didn't help my humility either, right? So I continued to drive and push, and everything I touched worked, but it didn't make me the best person I could be.
Wow. So you're now in sales and marketing, and you're running the sales and marketing of this other company. And then what leads you to your next position, your next entrepreneurial endeavor?
Well, that was more, I started doing some consulting. Got pretty good at the business thing, but I didn't really necessarily like working for these folks that I was working for. And I started consulting with a guy. This was the guy that I used to coach when he's maybe 5 years younger than I was. So when I was in college, I'd go back to my high school and help and do some coaching back then. And this guy gets out of college and he wanted to make his business stronger. And so I created a plan for him and ended up buying his partner out because I thought that the plan was really good and I didn't think the partner could do it. So I ended up buying his partner out and ended up becoming partners with this gentleman and stayed there for about 8 years as well.
Wow.
Yeah. I knew nothing about the industry but said, we can do this better. And that was like fun.
Huh.
That was a fun thing.
What was the greatest learning during that time?
Partnerships are difficult. It is. So my partner had the skill sets that I didn't have. He knew how to do the thing, right? We were in the communications business, and he knew how to twist wires and make connections and do the thing. And I knew the business and the people side of it, and obviously in the sales and marketing, we had to grow the business as well. But the management piece is what I handled. And I ended up learning how to do the thing because I didn't want to be negligent and not being able to help when necessary. Because when you're in a small, young, entrepreneurial, underfunded company, I don't care how cool you think you are talking to customers, you got to twist some wires too. Mm-hmm. So I had to learn how to do that. And the biggest lesson there were that business partnerships are very much like a marriage, only without the sex to make up. And you have the same fights that you have in the marriage when you have a partner, and you don't have that God-given thing to be able to create the makeup portion. Mm-hmm. Partnerships are really tough.
Yeah. How did you handle those partnerships when they got tough?
So this is when humility started in my life. And there's a line that I've used. In fact, I just used it with our mutual friend, that my relationship with you is more important than working with you. I can go make a living somewhere else if I need to. Right. And so the understanding of that relationship was more important than a few bucks.
Wow. Well, isn't that the truth?
And there was a couple times where I was willing to walk away and just hand it to him, hand it back. Here you go. This is yours. And that allowed him to also diffuse and say, no, you're right. And he wouldn't let me give it back. He wouldn't let me give half his business back to him. Mm-hmm. So that worked out really well. Nice.
And then at what point did you start Wave Tech?
So that company where I had the partner, we ended up selling to an organization that, this is an interesting thing, right? They paid me more money than my company was worth. They gave me a job that paid me more than I used to pay myself to do that same job, and I had to do less work.
Wow.
Sounds wonderful. I hated it. I hated it.
Really?
Yeah, because there just wasn't a culture fit.
So the pay was there. Yeah. I want to drive this home because I think a lot of people miss this. The pay was there. The workload was there.
Yeah.
All the things that people look for were there.
No,
but
not all the things.
Were missing.
Not all the things.
Oh yeah, not all the things.
Here's the thing that I think that people miss. So we all have values, and then we have core values. And I look at core values as something I'm willing to do no matter what. I'm willing to die for my core values. They're that serious to me, and we all have those. And if our values don't match up with the workplace, you can't pay me enough to stay there. Yeah. So I was in charge of the sales organization, the customer service organization at this new company. And we had all these companies that just got bought up and everyone became a vice president of something, right? And then the CEO, the guy that put all the money together, was sitting at the head of the table. We had our first meeting. We went around, and I was the last. I was sitting at his right hand because I was going to be the most important. I was the next CEO in line. And everyone went around and said what their plans were for their organization. And I gave them mine, which was the customer-centric piece. And the CEO just shakes his head at the end, and he goes, yeah, it sounds great, but I just spent a lot of money buying all these people, and you all had contracts with these customers, and we're going to stick those customers, those contracts up their tail until they're happy with them. Well, that my values were just challenged right there, and,
Sure.
and
Sure.
I couldn't stay there. Yeah, it's like I can't do that to customers. I can't
So
take
the
a contract.
interesting thing there is that you knew what your values were going in,
Sure.
right? And I think a lot of people don't have the values, and if they do, they're negotiable values. They're not non-negotiable. So they begin to renegotiate everything. You've seen that, right? What do you advise an entrepreneur who's starting off and they're going into a business, and you know that they haven't evaluated their true values? You have a process that you teach people on gaining values, right? Can you kind of give a little bit of that process?
Sure. And I don't like to do it one-on-one with the people. I like the person who's hired me to get his team together, and we do this in a group setting. So I've got a list of maybe 150 words. They're all great words. There's nothing wrong with any word on this list. There's something that someone would say, yeah, this is great. I like it. Right? And I make them do an exercise. They walk through an exercise. It takes 15, 20 minutes to do this. And of these 150 words, the first thing I ask them to do is independently get down to the 20 words that resonate the heart, that is the best with you. It's not that easy because you got to give away some really cool words.
Sure.
Limit it to 20. And they're all talking about it. They're all proud of the 20. And yeah, that was difficult. I then ask them on the next step to get down to 10 words. You need to cross off or combine, right? 20 of those words and get it down to half of that. So these are the first one are things I value. So down to 10, we're now down to my values, and we go through an extra step. And that is now bring it down to no more than 5. The top 5 or less. Those are your core values. One step further I make them do, and this is really difficult. You can see people sweating most of the time. There's always one guy in the group that just circles them and does it right. But you get some people that are sweating where they have to give up a word like love, right? That was on my top 10, but it's not in my top 5 because we're talking business now.
Right.
And then I ask them to rank them 1 through 5 or 1 through 3, whatever. And boy, do they make it difficult. What's really cool though, is we got down to a company and had 5 of them around the room, and love made the list in a business core value.
Interesting.
After this exercise, because these people really believed it. And working in a group, they now coalesce and they negotiated some things and they did this, and now they say, these are ours. And they owned them. The next thing I saw an email back from one of the guys that had just left the retreat, and this was the hardest core guy there, right? Big, strong dude. In his email signature, those 5 core values were there, and love was right in the middle of it. It's like, wow. It's like, it's something my daughter would do, right? But not this big, burly, tough dude.
Right.
Yeah, he put it in his email signature, and I was just so proud.
That is awesome.
It was so cool.
That is so cool. You know, you mentioned your daughter. What an amazing young lady she is.
Thank you.
Love her to death. And, you know, she has so much respect and admiration for you and what you've built, because she's told me, you know, and that's something maybe our daughters don't always tell us, but when they're talking to others about us, it might come out more. But I just think that that's so cool. And she worked with you for a while. So now you have this business, you also have had partners, and then now you've got your children or working with you. How was that, and what were the obstacles that maybe came from that?
All right, so I've got 6 kids. It's a lot of them out there, and it was really easy with Shauna. and I tell her this. I don't always. I used to say this to people like you, but I would say, oh, if someone says something about Sean, I say, yeah, that's the best person I know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just flat out. She's the best person I know. I want to be like her when I grow up, which is a really cool thing for a parent to say about their kid.
Yeah.
I tell her that now too. But I've had other children that worked for me as well, and I fired a couple of my boys. And one of them was married with kids, and I had to fire my son. But it was the right thing for him. It was certainly the right thing for the company, the right thing for him long term, and certainly the right thing for me as well. It took a while to mend that relationship.
Sure.
But it was the right thing long term, and had to do it.
I think you're bringing up something so valuable, for all of us in life, period, but especially as entrepreneurs, that we've got to do the right thing. The hard right over the easy wrong, as Larry Broughton says. That hard right over the easy wrong.
Yeah.
So many times when it's just easier to just let it go, just deal with it, or not deal with it. One of the next level pillars is avoidance is not the same as resolution. But when we talk about this, I mean, as an entrepreneur, there are a lot of things that come up that we've got to make the hard decision. And how do you do that? And how do you coach your CEOs through doing that?
The first thing that I do is look back at the core values. Those are the things that I live by. And one of mine happens to be integrity. And that I keep going back there, and that's how I live, is through these core values. Courage is another one. So when you say the hard choices, I try to make what I believe is going to be the right choice, as opposed to the easy or the hard. I don't look at them easy and hard. It's the one that is necessary for the situation in front of me. Almost, I don't want to disregard relationships, because I think those are really important as well. But I also believe that, just like I said when I had to fire my son, it was the right thing for him too.
Mm-hmm.
In hindsight, for him, he recognizes that at the moment it didn't. Right? It was not easy, but in hindsight, I believe that things happen the way they're supposed to happen. That doesn't mean just sit back and let the universe decide everything.
Right.
But the universe is going to decide things.
Yeah. I
have to do what I want to do, think things that I'm doing right, and then read the signs that are in front of me. Don't always do that. And then the next sign gets bigger, and the next sign hits you over the head, right?
Right.
Signs work. They're there, and you can adjust to them or not. And if you don't, they're just going to get bigger. And eventually they're going to fall on your head.
Yeah.
So,
which is easier, do you think, for an entrepreneur, to take an idea from concept to reality, or to adopt somebody else's business and run that?
Interesting. So it depends on the entrepreneur, I suppose. So for me, it is, I've never had an original idea in my life. I don't think creatively. I'm really good at making other people's ideas better, though.
Love it.
So for me, it's the second, is to take an original. I said yesterday, I was up in Big Bear, and we went by, driving through, looking at some of the other homes. We got a really nice home, but there were some really cool places there. And my brother-in-law said, well, that's the guy that invented bubble wrap. All right. I need to learn how to invent something. Right? But I don't know how to invent. But there are entrepreneurs that can't do the other part,
right,
as well. So understanding your strengths and weaknesses, and then surrounding yourself with nobody can do everything. I don't know anybody that can do everything. So surrounding yourself with the people who have contrasting and complementary skill sets, and then learning how to deal with them in a productive, positive manner in order to make a business grow.
And those are two very separate things.
Two separate things.
Surrounding yourself with people who are complementary, and then learning how to work with them.
Yeah. If you had somebody that could do the thing, and this person could do the business portion, and butt heads all the time, that's not going to work.
Right.
Right. So, and there's not, I'm not for everybody. I get that. There are people that aren't going to want my style or my thing or the thing that I do. You say it, right? They're just not your people. One of the things I learned from you is just not everyone's your people. Right. And yeah, you make the efforts and you try and you see what you can blend. And when you find out they're not your people, we're both better off in different directions.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
So I think that's the most important. First, find the complementary and contrasting skills.
Yeah.
I don't want everybody like me that doesn't do us any good. I can already do that stuff. Right. Somebody that can do the other stuff that I don't know anything about. And then I have to learn how to deal with them. And they have to learn how to deal with me. It's just, that doesn't work. We're better off somewhere else.
What has been the most difficult part of your career path with entrepreneurship? I mean, has it been the people? Has it been the product, the technology, the marketing? What's been the most challenging part for you?
Honestly, on the business end, it hasn't been that challenging. What's been challenging, the part that's been the most challenging for me is the people part in a different direction. So I've had this golden thumb, the things that I touch work. I can drive, I can push, I can make things happen. And this came to light to me about 10 years ago when I started playing tennis. I got fairly good at it pretty quick. And I kept getting phone calls all day long. Hey, come play, come play, come play. So I thought I had a lot of friends. So I blew my knee out and I couldn't play tennis anymore. Come to find out, the phone wasn't ringing.
Wow.
And I think my tennis experience was very similar to my business experience.
How so?
I got really good at business, but when I wasn't doing something for them, the phone wasn't ringing. So I had to make that adjustment in my personal life, in my professional life. And so the hardest part is the self-recognition that you're not that awesome. You're only awesome at that thing, right? Get that thing done. And as I grow old and I'm sitting in a nursing home or I'm sitting on a porch somewhere, don't want to be sitting there by myself. Just because I was really good at tennis or really good at business, great. As long as I'm doing that, there were people around. When I wasn't doing that, there weren't. So the hard part was the self-recognition that being great at something doesn't make you a great person. So
what do you do about that? Once you recognize that, what do you do about it?
You work at it. You work at it. And I think the biggest part, and it's where a lot of my teaching goes to now, is the reflection piece. The first thing is to recognition. Oops, there's a problem, whatever that might be. There's an issue.
Yeah. And
then the second part is the question that I try to always ask myself, no matter what conflict or what problem that's going on, what's my part in this? And I used to say, not me, it's them, right? Well, maybe they got a part in it too, because we all do. But what's my part in this? Because this is the only part I can fix. This is the only part I can do something about. And so that one question has changed my life along with what's my part in this? And then, is the way that I'm acting really going to get me what I want? Had to redefine what I want. What is success? What does winning mean? Does winning mean making the deal? Or does winning mean building the relationship? And I've changed my view on that in the past 10 years.
What do you think about this whole idea that everyone, talks about win, win, win? Everyone thinks a win-win negotiation. What do you think about that, and how do you make that work?
I make it work by doing three things, and I like it. I don't know if it's like always possible, right? There's going to be some things that aren't going to work out like that, but I think there's three questions. There's a really good book that I teach from, and it has three questions and then a fourth bonus question on it. Ask yourself, what is it that I want? What is it that I want for the other, for you? And what is it that I want for the relationship? I preload those questions into my brain before I walk in to any negotiation.
If you could only pick one of those questions, which one would be the most important?
Right now, it's number 3. It's the relationship.
Yeah.
But the bonus question is this.
Yeah.
Is the way I'm acting going to get me the answer that I just answered on those three things? And I can't dictate how it's going to go, but I can do my part. And if I do my part, chances are better for me to get positive response to those 3 questions that I've already answered for myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
No matter what the other person does, I got a chance. If I just do it the way I'd want to do it and drive and get it and all that, yeah, I might win and lose at the same time.
Right. That takes a lot of forethought, though, and a lot of people like to react rather than respond. How do you coach somebody into that?
Most of the things that I coach are not new concepts to anybody. We learned these things by the time we were in kindergarten.
Mm.
Remember when your mom told you count to 10?
Right.
Right?
Sure.
Go back and ask yourself those 3 questions again in the middle of counting to 10. Sometimes you have to count to 10 times. So there are people that I have to be careful with because I watch them react.
Right.
I don't want to react. Right. My face does, right? It's like it gets red, it gets whatever. I want to be able to act on information and not react to information. So it's, again, the self-reflection piece. What do you want?
Yeah.
I want to create this vision that I have for myself. And the way to do that, I need to act upon information and not react to information.
You do a lot of teaching on vision as well.
Yeah.
Right. And, you and I both agree, the Bible talks about without a vision, people perish. I mean, vision is so important.
Sure.
And yet so many companies think that because they have a mission statement, they've got a vision.
Nope.
Can you explain what that is for people?
Sure. So vision is a point in the horizon, someplace that hasn't come yet. And I can talk about my personal vision if you'd like as well.
Yeah, sure.
But it is a thing that I want to strive for. It's something that I want to be, where my company's going to be, where I'm going to be, whatever that vision's going to be. And mine is so clear in my mind that if I had any artistic ability, I'd be able to draw it. I see the scene. I can see this. And it's going to be. It's not now. It's going to be. But I can strive and work toward it. So vision is the point in the horizon. So, Stephen Covey talks about begin with the end in mind.
Sure.
I've heard others say write your obituary and then work backwards is another way. What do I want people to say about me in my obituary?
Wow.
I'm not that yet, right? And if I was, great, kill me now. But I'm not that yet. So create this vision and then create goals, strategy, and action steps that will lead to that vision. So that's a vision. A mission is different. A mission is what we do and why we do it. Our mission is to be the best. I don't know. Disney had a great mission, right? Until the corporate guys got involved. There's what it's called. Make people happy. That's a mission. Yeah. That's their mission. It's like great. That the Marines have a great mission, right? It is honor, duty, blah blah blah. I can't recall, but they do what they say they're going to do, and here's what we do and our purpose for living.
Yeah.
The vision is where we're going, and the mission is the purpose. And why we do it.
So it's funny because do you think you should have a mission statement when you're first starting out as a company of one, or do you think you should wait until you have multiple? No,
I think as a company, I think knowing what you want, what you're doing, and why you're doing it's important, even as a company of one. I think when it becomes multiple, certainly we, the new group, should be creating what our mission looks like. I still think the founder, the entrepreneur, is always going to create the vision portion. Here's where we're going, right? May get some influence from other people, but here's where we're going. And I think that having a group of people help you with what our mission is, our purpose, and our core values, that we get together and we create this, makes it easier because now I don't have to have anyone buy into it. It's theirs. They created this. They said, this is what we are doing, right? Not just them, but we co-create and do that. But so it's really cool to get together with your group once you get one, right, and create your mission, your core value, redefine your core values and relook at them. They generally don't change, but they might adjust a little bit. For instance, honesty might have been it before. Now it becomes integrity. Well, yeah, I see how those things work together. They're not completely different. So let's go with this word today. So core values can change slightly, or the wording on them, but the understanding and the mutual understanding that a team has to get on those needs to be consistent. If we were going to be a team and my definition of integrity was different than yours, we'd be heading in separate directions, slightly separate.
Right.
But if you think about, so going back to vision now, a vision's a point in the horizon that's not there yet. Let's say that point in the horizon, put it on geography. Let's say that point in the horizon is Hawaii. We're going to Hawaii, yet our compasses are off by 1 degree. And we get on the boat, I might end up in Hawaii and you'd be maybe, I don't know, Tahiti?
Right.
So we're not going to get to the same place. So I think the mutual purpose and the shared definitions or meaning, the shared meaning of the words is what really creates a team.
Mm. You've got solopreneurs going to watch this too. What do you say to the solopreneur about creating a mission statement as well as creating vision?
I think it's so let's go with the mission first. Knowing who you are, why you're doing what you're doing. And for the solopreneur, if it's just about making money, you might make a little bit, but you're not going to do what you want to do. Making money tends not to be a great mission. I want to go make $1 zillion. Cool. And then you're going to leave things in your wake that are just not who you want to be or what you want to be. So the mission, your purpose is important as a solopreneur as well. It's here's what I do, here's why I do it. That's important. Because guess what? You have to get up and look at yourself every day in the mirror.
Right. You
want to keep seeing who you think you are or who you've become chasing a dollar.
Right. So, hey guys, if you've got a question, type it in or let me know that you want to be called on. I'll call on you guys. Also, I'm going to give you, Scott, how can people stay in touch with you? Because you do these retreats. I mean, you've got some really cool retreats in distant places. Plus, you've got a place up in Big Bear that's an amazing place, retreat center. So kind of talk about some of the things that you do that can help people beyond this.
Okay. So the retreats are either team building or strategic planning, or we do product development. We do lots of things, right? So my job is as a facilitator. I'm not a consultant. I could be a consultant. I can tell people how. A consultant tells people what to do. A facilitator believes the answer's in the room, gets the answer out from all these smart people. So I love the retreat process because, and you do this in your groups as well, and that is 8 smart people sitting around, in a room. Right. I ask a few questions and get out of their way, and then it's just brilliant what comes out of that stuff. So the retreats are typically when I get hired by organizations, whether they're large or small, to facilitate a strategic planning event. And the reason they do that is so you got a smart CEO over there, right? I work with an insurance company. The guy that runs that thing's a lot smarter than I am, a lot more powerful, a lot more whatever. He looks like a boss. Why does he need me? He knows all the things I know how to do, right? He's done them before. Well, they will hire me because he wants to participate in the group and not be the group. So the power dynamics in organizations change completely. Right. Because now I'm going to own the room or allow for these things to happen, and the boss gets to participate instead of dominate the discussions. So you think about power, how that works. Yeah. If we're sitting around, there's 8 people, and there's a president, 6 vice presidents, and a CEO, and they're talking about logo colors. Let's go with logo colors. This person says they like green, this one likes blue, this one likes peach, this one likes orange, this one likes red. And it comes around to the boss, the CEO, and he says, blue. So now we start talking about turquoise or light blue or dark blue or navy or, right, just shades of blue because we've anchored on the power. You don't do that so much when I'm in the room. All right, so I've already worked it out with this guy. When I see that happen, all I got to do is look over at him and he knows what I'm doing. I take back control and he's not fighting me.
Right.
and he gets to participate. And the concept is, no matter if that CEO is the smartest guy in the room or not, the concept of we are smarter than me every single time.
Yeah.
No matter how smart I am, this group is smarter than me. And the boss knows that too. Yeah. It doesn't always act like it. So that's one of the things with the retreats. I do workshops where we talk leadership or communications. Those are the two areas that I like to focus on now. Instead of operational issues, I like working on leadership, so building up the next tier of leaders into a spot. I get hired quite often because an entrepreneur has grown past his ability to do everything himself, him or herself.
Yeah.
And they start hiring some smart people, and yet the entrepreneur is disappointed. The CEO is disappointed in these smart people because they're not doing what he hired them to do. So he hires me to fix them. And we do. We go through some stuff, and we do some communication, leadership training, but they're not the problem.
Right.
They're not the problem. So that's when the individual coaching comes into play, is to help the entrepreneur understand what they're doing that is stopping these managers from being as great as they could be, and helping him or her do the things that they can no longer do themselves. So that's another aspect. And then in workshops, we can do, 4-hour workshops typically, and they're fun, and people come out and they rah and cheer and they're great and all that, but they're not deep. You just can't go that deep, and because this stuff takes practice. Right? The things we're talking about takes practice. So one of the stories I tell is that when I sold that company where I had worked with this other guy, right, I was 38 years old and thought I was going to retire. So I figured, okay, what should you do when you retire? Well, you should learn how to golf. And being an athlete and a baseball player in particular, golfing should be easy. So you pick up a club and you swing it. I decided to go to lessons. Bought a brand new set of clubs. They were beautiful clubs, and went to lessons every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. The following week, I picked up my clubs and went to lessons at 7 o'clock. The teacher was good. My clubs were good. I had an athletic body, and I still suck at golf because I didn't practice in between the lessons.
Wow.
So the practice piece. So a workshop concept is great because the teacher's going to teach you something. It's going to be awesome material, but if you don't practice it. So that's why I like doing these longer class sessions now. So we do a 13-week session, and every week, and then I give them homework in between, and they get to practice, and then they come back and tell stories about the practice. And it's really powerful stuff.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So which is your favorite? If you could only do one of those things the rest of your life, which one would it be?
The retreats are great because I get to go to cool places.
Yeah.
So Cancun, Cabo, the mountains, whether it's, Havasu or Tahoe or Big Bear or Palm Springs for the desert, or St. George, Utah, or Costa Rica, or I get to go to cool places with really fun, smart people. So I would like to do that if I only could do one, but I'm not going to only do one. So I love the classroom sessions, which is communication and leadership training, where you're doing 8, 12 people at a time. Because I'm going to get smarter every single time by listening to what these folks have to say. Amen. But then the coaching piece too, right? Is when you get to and you know this, when you get to somebody, a light bulb goes on, like it's just a source of pride in all three of those things. So I can't pick which one is the best. I think I learn the most in the classes that I teach. I have the most fun on the retreats, and the most one-on-one impact is coaching. So I'm not giving any of it up. How's that?
Wow. So let's see. One of the questions that I've got is, if you could only pick one book to read over and over again, what would that book be?
Sitting on my desk. Crucial Conversations. So the definition of a crucial conversation is when something is important, opinions vary, and emotions are high.
Say that again, please.
The subject is important.
Yeah.
Opinions are going to be different. We're going to think differently about this thing, and our emotions are going to be high. Yeah. It becomes a crucial conversation.
Yeah.
The typical human we go into either fight or flight mode. We'll either fight through it and win,
right,
or lose, right? Because you can lose a fight too, or we'll avoid it completely. And the fortunate piece is there is a better way. There is an option that is different than either fight or flight that tends to get better results almost every time. So if I was going to pick one book, that would be it.
That would be it. Wow.
As a companion book, the one that I really enjoyed is a book by Edgar Schein called Humble Inquiry. It is the gentle art of asking instead of telling.
Interesting. Humble Inquiry.
Always get my way by not my way, but a good way.
Yeah.
By asking questions.
Yeah.
But if I tell people to do things, they might do them in compliance, but they're certainly not going to buy into it.
Yeah.
They're going to do what they're told, maybe not be happy about it. So the gentle art of asking instead of telling.
Nice. Nice. So let's see. Flo, Eddie, Cecile, Carl. Do you guys have any questions? If you do, go ahead and unmute your mic or unmute your video. Because I'll just call on you guys. You know, I'll put you on the spot. Flo, I know you always have a question. Okay, somebody's typing in one. So Flo says, Scott, how would you advise on recognizing if you're in need of improvement? Was that what you said? Trying to think about what she's saying there.
So I get it. So how do you recognize in a spot where you need to improve something?
Okay.
When the reactions of others is not what I'm looking for.
When the reaction of others is not what I'm looking for.
Yeah, that's my first clue. That doesn't mean I'm wrong though, right? Because they could be wrong too.
Right.
But I know that there's always a piece of it that's mine, that I can take ownership of, that I could have done differently. So the first portion is to recognize what that is, and I can say, this isn't the reaction I got isn't what I was hoping for. Yeah. How might I have changed this to get the reaction that I am looking for?
Wow.
So the recognition is the first piece of that, and ask back to that question, what's my part in this?
That's a good one. That's a good one. So, well, it looks like nobody's asking questions. So, but we're going to leave this up, Scott, and so people can type in and ask questions. We'll add you to the group.
Sure.
And answer anything you want. What's the best way for people to get a hold of you and your website and your phone numbers and all that stuff?
So the website is LEAD, L-E-A-D, the number 2, goals, G-O-A-L-S. So I lead, leadership, lead to goals.com. And Scott at leadtogoals.com gets direct email to me. And I love, no different than you, I love meeting new people and having conversations and finding out what they're about.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Scott, I want to thank you. I know it was a last minute. Thank you for making the time and rearranging things, for being here. And even more importantly, thank you for all you do to help people improve and get better, and mostly by your example, that you're constantly striving to become better. And I think that speaks volumes for people. So I know it has for me. I appreciate your friendship and your influence in my life, and look forward to us grabbing coffee here soon.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, everybody.